record the names of those members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion for adoption of the minutes of the meeting March 7th, 2017? Without objection, the minutes of that meeting will stand approved as written. Madam Clerk, communication from the mayor.
There are no messages from the mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We now move to elections and confirmations. Is there a report from the Rules, Confirmation, and Public Elections Committee? Council Lady Haywood.
Thank you. The Metropolitan Action Commission, the appointment of Ms. Zelfat Sarah for a term expiring February 2nd, 2020 was approved 7-0. Move for approval.
You've heard the motion for confirmation of Ms. Zulfat Swara to the Metropolitan Action Commission. It's been properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Council Lady Haywood.
Community Education Commission, the appointment of Ms. Jennifer Douglas for a term expiring October the 6th, 2018. Ms. Douglas will fill the unexpired term of Ms. Martia Powell. Move for approval.
You've heard the motion for confirmation of Ms. Jennifer Douglas to the Community Education Commission. That motion's been properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Council Lady Haywood.
Nashville Education Community and Arts Television Board, NECAT, the reappointment of Ms. Aquila Reed for a term expiring February the 5th of 2020. Move for approval.
You've heard the motion for confirmation of Ms. Aquila Reed to NECAT. That motion's been properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Council Lady Haywood.
The Metropolitan Transit Authority, the appointment of Ms. Hannah Paramore for a term expiring May the 1st, 2021. Ms. Paramore will fill the unexpired term of Ms. Colleen Hall. Move for approval.
You've heard the motion for confirmation of Ms. Hannah Paramore Breen to the Metropolitan Transit Authority. It's been properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Council Lady Haywood.
Work Release Commission nominees. She's the nominee of Sheriff Darren Hall. The reappointment of Father Ed Steiner for a term expiring January the 1st of 2021. Move for approval.
You've heard the motion for confirmation of Father Ed Steiner to the Work Release Commission. It's been properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Council Lady Haywood.
The Board of Zoning Appeals, the reappointment of Mr. David Taylor for a term expiring February the 26th of 2020. Move for approval.
You've heard the motion for confirmation of Mr. David Taylor to the Board of Zoning Appeals. It's been properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We would like to recognize those. Thank you, Council Lady Haywood. We would like to recognize those citizens who were confirmed tonight. So if you will please stand as I call your name and remain standing until I've introduced everybody. To the Metropolitan Action Commission, Ms. Zulfat Swara. To the Community Education Commission, Ms. Jennifer Douglas. To NECAT, Ms. Aquila Reed. To the Metropolitan Transit Authority, Ms. Hannah Paramore Breen. To the Work Release Commission, Father Ed Steiner. And to the Board of Zoning Appeals, Mr. David Taylor. On behalf of the entire Metro Council and the citizens of Davidson County, we would like to thank you for your service to your community, for your willingness to volunteer your time, and your expertise. Thank you very much. That brings us to resolutions on public hearing. RS 2017-590, Councilman O'Connell. Exempts City House Corporation located at 1222 4th Avenue North from the minimum distance requirement for obtaining a beer permit. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the floor for public hearing, please.
All those in favor of RS 2017-590, please raise your hands. Those opposed? Seeing none on either side, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to ask for committee reports, please.
Councilman Pardue.
Public safety passed it 4-1.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval with a brief comment.
Floor is yours.
As has been the tradition we've had a number of these that have come specifically from the Germantown neighborhood, and I would like to note that the applicant in this case did work very closely with the neighborhood association in kind of vetting this request, so I feel comfortable asking for motion for approval, please.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to the consent agenda. The following items are currently on the consent agenda. Please let me know if any of them need to come off. RS 2017-587, RS 2017-591 through 614, and RS 2017-618 through 622. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to pull 591, please.
All right. Anyone else? All right, if you'll bear with me. RS 2017-587, Bedning, Karen Johnson, and Mina Johnson request the Department of Codes to seek diverse candidates that are inclusive and representative of Nashville's local demographics and languages when filling existing vacancies and adding additional personnel to enforce property standards. RS 2017-592, Cooper and Pridemore, approves a grant from the Bloomberg Associates Foundation to the Office of the Mayor to provide consultant and assessment assistance in administration of various city services and programs. RS 2017-593, Pardue and Cooper, approves a technology innovation for public safety grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metro Police Department to identify targeted precincts where precipitous increases in crime have been reported and to develop a data communication plan/system to reduce crime in targeted areas. RS 2017-594, Syracuse, Cooper, and Henderson, approves a grant from the Friends of Two Rivers Mansion to the Metro Parks and Recreation Department to provide funding for 2 part-time employees at Two Rivers Mansion during the 2017 Christmas season. RS 2017-595, Syracuse, Cooper, and Henderson, approves a grant from the Friends of Two Rivers Mansion to the Metro Parks and Recreation Department to provide funding for fencing across the front of Two Rivers Mansion property. RS 2017-596, Syracuse, Cooper, and Henderson, approves a grant from the Friends of Two Rivers Mansion to the Metro Parks and Recreation Department to provide funding for 2 part-time employees to conduct historic tours at Two Rivers Mansion during June, July, and August 2017. RS 2017-597, Syracuse, Cooper, and Henderson, approves a grant from the Friends of Two Rivers Mansion to the Metro Parks and Recreation Department to provide new signage to be installed near the entrance of the mansion. RS 2017-598, Allen, Cooper, and Henderson, approves a grant from the Hillsborough West End Neighborhood Association to the Metro Parks and Recreation Department to provide materials and labor for the rehab and restoration of the dragon sculpture in Fannie Mae Dees Park. RS 2017-599, O'Connell, Cooper, and others. Approves a grant from Live Nation to the Metro Parks and Recreation Department to provide materials and labor to be used in the construction and installation of security fencing at Ascend Amphitheater. RS 2017-600, Cooper and Gilmore, approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Human Services to the Metro Action Commission to support to support the Community Services Poverty Fund. RS 2017-601, Gilmore and Cooper, approves a grant from the U.S. EPA to the Metro Board of Health to fund an ongoing program to protect air quality and to achieve established ambient air standards. RS 2017-602, Gilmore and Cooper, approves a grant from the Association of Food and Drug Officials to the Metro Board of Health to provide training of 2 staff members to audit program standards of the Metro Public Health Department in conjunction with the 2009 FDA Food Code. RS 2017-603, Gilmore and Cooper, approves a grant from the Association of Food and Drug Officials to the Metro Board of Health to fund travel expenses for 4 food inspectors to attend the FD 312 Special Processes at Retail course to prepare participants to inspect retail and food service establishments. RS 2017-604, Gilmore and Cooper, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Health and the Metro Board of Health to provide child fatality, review services in the sudden death of the young and children under age 19 investigated by the by the Medical Examiner's Office. I started thinking about something else, and I was like, did I read that right or not? So I got a little bit off there. Sorry, guys. RS 2017-605, Council Lady Gilmore, approves an agreement between the Metro Board of Health and Alive Hospice Incorporated to provide a worksite POD for licensed medical employees and professionals in the event of a public health emergency. RS 2017-606, Council Lady Gilmore, approves a clinical affiliation agreement between the Metro Board of Health and Lipscomb University to provide clinical experience opportunities for its graduate nursing program students. RS 2017-607, Council Lady Gilmore, approves a business associate agreement between the Metro Board of Health and Centerstone to provide safeguards to prevent the use or disclosure of protected health information. RS 2017-608, Council Lady Gilmore, approves a business associate agreement between the Metro Board of Health and the Mental Health Co-op to provide safeguards to prevent the use or disclosure of protected health information. RS 2017-609, Murphy and Cooper, approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development to the National Career Advancement Center to establish programs and services for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. RS 2017-610, Murphy and Cooper, approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development and the National Career Advancement Center to provide re-employment and eligibility assessments services to help unemployment insurance claimants to return to work faster. RS 2017-611, Pridemore and Cooper, authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Wilma Jean Hayden against Metro government in the amount of $21,000. RS 2017-612, Pridemore and Cooper, authorizes the Metro Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Brett A. Clanton and the subrogation claim of State Farm Mutual Automobile Insurance Company against Metro government in the amount of $55,000. RS 2017-613, Councilman Pridemore and Cooper, authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Daryl Grider against Metro government in the amount of $25,000. RS 2017-614, Sledge, Elrod, and Allen, authorizes Lehman Recording to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 1128 3rd Avenue South. RS 2007-618, Council Lady Weiner, Rosenberg, and other, requests the Davidson County delegation to the Tennessee General Assembly to enact legislation to increase penalties for the desecration of places of worship or burial. RS 2017-619, Shulman, Murphy, and others, honors the life of Nashvillian Douglas Self Henry Jr., the longest-serving member of the Tennessee General Assembly and a Southern statesman and gentleman. RS 2017-620, Henderson, Roten, and others, recognizes Tommy Lynch on the occasion of his retirement for 46 years of service to the Metro Parks and Recreation Department. RS 2017-621, Van Reese, Kendall, and others, recognizes family and children's service. RS 2017-622, Vircher and Withers, recognizes the Nashville Philharmonic Orchestra. That brings us to committee reports. Councilmember Pridemore, I think you're subbing tonight for Budget and Finance.
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance reviewed and took under consideration the following resolutions: RS 2017-592, 593, 94, 595, 596, 597, 598, 599, 600, 601, 602, 603, 604, 609, 610, 611, 612, 613, and all were approved 10-4, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Coleman, Codes, Fair, and Farmers Market. I'm sorry, Councilman Swope.
Codes, Fairs, Farmers Market approved. RS 2017-587, 3-4, 0 against.
Thank you, sir. Council Lady Van Reese, Convention Tourism.
Yes, on item 2017599, the Convention Tourism and Public Entertainment Facilities voted 4 in favor and 0 against.
Thank you, Council Lady. Health, Hospitals, Social Services, Councilman Pulley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Health, Hospitals, and Social Services Committee considered 9 of the resolutions on consent agenda, RS 2017-600 through 2017-608, and recommended for approval all 9 resolutions, 5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilman. Parks, Library, Recreation, and Public Entertainment Facilities, Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. I appreciate Vice Chair Kevin Roten for conducting this evening's meeting. The Parks Committee reviewed resolutions 594, 595, 596, 597, 598, 599, and 620, and recommended approval for all of them with 6 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Council Lady. Personnel, Public Information, Human Relations, and Housing, Council Lady Murphy.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We voted on Resolution RS 2017-609 for approval, 5-4-0 against. Resolution 2017-610, motion to approve, 5-4-0 against. Resolution 2017-617 for approval, 5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Council Lady. Planning, Zoning, Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical approved Resolution RS 2017-614, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Council Lady. Public Safety, Councilman Pardue.
RS 2017-593 passed Public Safety 5-0.
Thank you, sir. Public Works, Councilman Elrod.
Public Works recommend for approval Resolution 614, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, sir. Council Lady Haywood, Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections.
Yes, Resolution 2017-566, we approve 6-0. Resolution RS 2017-618, approved 6-0. Resolution RS 2017-619, approved 6-0. And Resolution 2017-621, approved 6-0. And lastly, Resolution 2017-622, approved 6-0. Oh, okay. With all reports in, I move that we approve all resolutions on the consent agenda.
Proper motion, it's been seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. You did an excellent job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a good teacher. This is my teacher.
You were much faster than Councilman Shulman, too. That brings us back to RS 2017-566, expresses the Metro Council's support for the Medical Cannabis Access Act currently pending before the Tennessee General Assembly. Councilman Scott Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilor Haywood. RS 2017-566.
Yes, Resolution 2017-566 is approved as substituted 6-0.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilman.
I'd like to move for approval of brief explanation, please.
Let's move the I think we got to get the substitute. Sorry.
I apologize, Vice Mayor. Let's move the substitute, please.
The motion to substitute is properly seconded. Councilman Elrod, do you want to be recognized on that motion or afterwards substituted? The motion to substitute is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. You're now on your bill as substituted. Resolution, I'm sorry.
I just want to thank my colleague, Mina Johnson, and others who support this resolution. I know some people think resolutions don't matter because we can't enforce it. Lots of times we send messages to the state, and sometimes, you know, we might be on one side of an issue or on the other side. It's very rare when you have both Republican and Democrat legislators supporting something that we agree with here in Nashville. And one of the things when dealing with this kind of legislation, medical marijuana, and I'm not talking about the smoking kind, I'm talking about the oils and the other kinds of medication that you can use to help with other addictions, with opiate addictions that's running rampant throughout all the counties here in Tennessee, and helping with PTSD and other mental health side effects that young men and women have when coming back from war and other military services. And so I just want to encourage more support, and I especially love the bipartisan support because this is near and dear to help, you know, a lot of our comrades and family members and loved ones all over the state and county. And I like to see more bipartisanship cooperation between both parties, and this encourages that. And I just want to thank both Democratic and Republican legislators on the Capitol Hill and my bipartisanship colleagues, because we are a bipartisanship, you know, council here, because, you know, we all didn't, none of us ran on a Democrat or a Republican ticket. So I just want to just thank all of you for your support and those on the Capitol on both parties for supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Elrod.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I mentioned, talked about this when we deferred it from the last meeting, and the sponsor mentioned that we send messages to the state. If we send a lot of messages, they're going to stop listening to them and stop reading them. While I believe in medical cannabis, medical marijuana, it is not something that is directly pertinent to the operation of metropolitan government and directly and how we serve our constituents and those in our city. Well, I think it's important, and I think it's something that Tennessee should look into and should adopt. It is not something that is directly impacting metro government. Something like transit. I don't know if we've passed something on the Improve Act, which would bring millions of dollars to Nashville-Davidson County, would help pay for 40, would give us transit options to pay for revenue options to pay for transit. That is something that's more directly affecting metro government and how we serve our constituents. So I would just caution that while there are many causes for the legislature that I think we want to weigh in on, and that if we send many messages to them, they're not going to read or listen to all of them. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Councilor Johnson. Mina.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I do respect opinion, and I do appreciate Council Member Elrod strategy and advice. However, I think there are so many people in this county affected and will be benefit by this kind of advanced medicine and technology. So I would like us to encourage to support, because we as a Metro Council do not have authority or power to help those people really need. So all we can do is ask Tennessee legislature to please advance those bills to help people in Davidson County and Tennessee and everywhere. So for that, I really would like to your support to send a message and ask Tennessee legislature to advance this kind of study and more, approval. Thank you.
Councilor Murphy.
I just wanted to share with the rest of the council that today and yesterday I spoke to some of the sponsors of the legislation mentioned in this bill and listened to over an hour of testimony. And I really think that the state is moving in the right direction on these bills, and the sponsors of the Republican bill have decided to move to a task force to discuss this and to get further education in front of the body that controls this up the hill. And so I can't predict the future on the Democrat bill that is scheduled for next week, but the current Republican bill mentioned in this has been taken off notice, and it was a caption bill, so the bill doesn't even have the language in it that we would be supporting it. We're just supporting the caption. And so I just wanted to make sure that we all were aware of the status of these bills before we voted. Thank you.
It's proper motion. It's been seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. RS 2017-591, Cooper and Pridemore appropriates $3,897,200 for the benefit of the Board of Fair Commissioners and Administrative Department. Councilman Pridemore.
Well, Budget and Finance only committee, and on behalf of Councilman Cooper and myself, Budget and Finance approved 10-4-0 against, and I move for approval.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. RS 2017-615. Requests all officers, departments, directors, and other heads of all boards, commissions, authorities, and other agencies of metro government submitting requests for funds for the ensuing fiscal year for capital improvements to the Director of Finance to submit copies of such requests to the Metro Council at the same time of such submissions. Councilman Glover.
Yes, Vice Mayor, I'm going to move for a two-meeting deferral on this.
Okay, let's get our committee report. Councilman Pridemore.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance, at the request of the sponsor, voted 10-4-0 against a two-meeting deferral.
Thank you.
And I move for a two-meeting deferral.
Motion to defer two meetings, properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. RS 2017-616, Councilman Glover, adopts a policy requiring a limitation on the amount of debt service funds appropriated for the amortization of general and urban service bonds in the annual operating budget in relation to the total expenditures for all purposes. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilman Pridemore.
Vice Mayor, Budget and Finance, to request the sponsor voted 10-4-0 against for a two-meeting deferral.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm going to move for a two-meeting deferral with just a brief explanation.
The floor is yours.
The reason that I'm bringing this language forward, I think it's very critical that everybody sitting in the room here understands the purpose behind this. It's not going to change the charter. It's not really going to have an effect other than kind of a guideline. And the reason being is because I was on the school board when we took a massive hit in our economy here in Nashville, and I saw firsthand what it did, because the sales tax revenues is what will get you first. Okay, that's where you're going to see the loss of dollars first, and then you'll see it in other areas. This is merely a precautionary move to say, look, we need to watch our debt service and how much we're borrowing and how much we're going to have to spend on payments as we go forward, because you still have contracts. You still have raises that people need to be able to receive that work for Metro government. And it's too easy for the administration or for the council to say, well, we're not going to do raises this year because we need to do other things. And so I think by putting this in place, it's a tool for us to keep it and to have sort of a guideline. It won't be, like I said, it won't be a law that they have to live by, but it is a guideline that I think would be wise and prudent as we go forward. And so we're going to talk with the administration as we go forward and hopefully come up with something that's suitable for everyone. Thank you, Vice Mayor, and I renew my two-meeting deferral.
Motion to defer two meetings is properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. RS 2017-617, Councilman Coleman. Requests the Metro Police Department to include additional officers' salary increases and additional police vehicles and motorcycles in the FY 2018 budget proposal. Councilman Coleman.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Browley. Committee report.
Councilman Pridemore.
Budget and Finance voted 9-4, 1 against.
Councilman Pardue.
Public safety passed 5-0.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Coleman.
Personnel.
Was it referred to personnel?
Yes, it was, sir. Took it up there.
I'm sorry, I gave the report during the consent earlier. 5 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman
Thank you,
Coleman.
Vice Mayor. Move for approval with a brief explanation.
Floor is yours.
Members of the esteemed body, I come to you to to make a request based on a visit I had. 2017-617 came as a result of my visit, like many of us, to the various departments. And I got around to the Department of Police, and I didn't have an invitation, although Chief Anderson doors are always open. I did have a chance to visit with the FOP, and I had a chance to sit and talk with them and find out what their concerns were. And they shared with me that one of the reasons that they thought that things weren't going as well is because they needed to have a strong look at some key issues that sometimes affect personnel. One, they thought that they needed 20 new officers, 20 recruits. Second, they thought that they needed 10 more vehicles. Third, 5 motorcycles. And fourth, which is most important, back in the years of 2009, 2010, something like that, and I've asked the administration to get those dates for us, there was a hiring freeze. And as a result of that, some of the officers and some of the staff did not get compensated for the years they were put on hold. The administration, I think it was the Dean administration probably at that time, came back and made some correction, but not everybody was caught up in that freeze capture. So now we've moved ahead 2017 and things are going better for us, and I think that this is a fine opportunity for us to go back and compensate those who should have been compensated at that time. And I know after I sit down there will probably be some that will say that this is a bad idea, but this is merely a statement to the men in blue and to our city that we support Metro Police. We honor what you do, and when you make a request to us as a council, we like to make a statement. We understand that this is not binding legislation, but it is a statement that we support you, and if in fact you need equipment to do your job, we want to stand in line at making that request for you through the Metro Council. Now, I understand that the chief's budget has been submitted, and he's asked for many more officers than what I'm asking for here. However, he said a few weeks ago that 20 officers is what he was going to ask for. I understand it's 120. We're not trying to tell Metro Police Department how to run the police department. That is not it at all. We are simply saying that we recognize that there are some things you need, and we want to be in support of it. Having said that, I ask you for your support, sending a message that we support you and we will get you the items you need. We will pay you what you work and respect the job that you do. With that, I ask for your approval.
Councilman Sledge.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, and I do want to thank the sponsor. I think everything he has said, I think we can generally agree with in the council about wanting to ensure that our police department members are well funded and that they have the resources that they need. And that funding may well be necessary. The compensation issues I think we should all be concerned about and be looking at. And I, have, a lot of experience with the department the last few weeks because there was a pretty high profile case in the district I represent, which detectives worked overtime on and people worked 24/7 basically to try and bring the person they believe committed this terrible crime to justice. I have a concern about the process. I have a concern that we are asking or requesting a department bring a specific amount of positions, a specific type of equipment, specific numbers of equipment to us. But I think I have a bigger concern about the message that this may send to people who aren't mentioned in this bill. I think we were all here when we talked with community members not long ago about their concerns founded or unfounded with how they interact with the police in their communities. I think there was a pretty clear statement made about how there was a feeling that sometimes some people are heard and some people are not. And my concern, and just the statements in the last week or so about folks who do worry about when we put additional funding and additional sources and additional resources into the department without having that full discussion, without having that community discussion, and without considering the other resources that need to go in some of these communities, I think there is a real, there's a real case to be made. And so, if we make a statement here, we may make another statement that I don't think that we intend. I don't think that the sponsor intends. But if we go forth and we tell the police department that we think that they should be coming to specifically request more resources, and we don't have that conversation in the fuller context that we are having right now in this city, whether we like it or not, then I think we're doing ourselves a disservice, and I think we're doing our constituents a disservice. And that's why, very respectfully, and with all due respect to the sponsor, I will not be supporting the resolution. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Council Lady Weiner.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I appreciate it. Nobody in this room supports the police department any more than I do. My dad was a cop, and I've shared that before. The police are asking for far more than where this resolution goes. And we have a process in place, and it's called the budget. And the mayor presents her budget after having the hearings with the departments, and then we have the opportunity to have hearings, and we then have the opportunity to tweak that budget and to add things. And to me, that's really the time to do this. And so my concern is that we're putting the cart before the horse, and that we are sending the message to all of the other departments and the department heads that are out there that we're laser focused in one direction, and we're going to give them a nod before we even have the opportunity to listen to what it is that they need. And so I would really just caution us to think about the process that's afforded us and take the time to listen to what the police department needs and to what the other departments need before we jump to a resolution that really isn't addressing everything that they need. Thank you.
Councilman Hastings.
Thank you, Mr. President. This time, I would like to yield my time over to Councilman Coleman so he can better explain his bill. Thank you.
I mean, I can come back to you at the end. We don't have a long line here. You only got one person in front of you. I'll let you be the last word if you prefer. Councilman Scott Davis.
And here in support of Councilman Coleman's resolution for two reasons. Number one, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Garrison with the Tennessean, there was a report that was put out, I believe, in your publication about the lack of diversity in police officers. There was a study, and it's shown, now this is very important now, we're going somewhere. We're in the parking lot of the ballpark, now we're going inside the ballpark, okay? There was a study that showed that there was a lack of diversity inside the Metro Police Department in this report. Now, we do have a good number of African-American officers, but comparable to a city our size, it was not enough. There weren't enough, even though we've hired more women officers, and Mr. Pardue's wonderful wife is our commanders, and we've also, Commander Loki, wonderful, she was our recruitment officer who helped increase those numbers. However, though, I like this resolution. He needs to hire more women and African-American officers that live and police that community. When you have that, you have better results. Once again, Pardue grew up in Casey Homes. When Pardue and Pridemore were on the streets, they had very few weird incidents. These guys were wonderful officers, but they lived in the community. There's a story. One of them hid inside of a pool to catch a drug dealer one time. Really good story. But at the same time, you know, dealing with this, you got to have officers that live and look like and are from that community. When you have officers that look like the folks in that community, you have less incidents. And so the police force needs to hire more women, more African Americans, and more Hispanic police officers, police men and women who look like the members of that community. And that's why it's important. You know, when you have people that look like the folks from that community, especially, let's talk about the African American community, we have a lack of African American officers and a lack of women officers and Hispanic officers. So we need to help the chief hire more officers to better police those communities, you know, because these gentlemen, you know, have retired, and when you lived inside the community, no one abused anybody because he lived there. And even though he's a nice guy, he wouldn't do anything particular. I don't mean to pick on you, officer, but when you're living in that community and when you're laser focused, there's less incidents. And that's why I'm here. I want us to support Councilman Coleman's bill, because the chief needs to hire more women and African American Hispanic officers. Thank you.
Mr. Garrison, your name was called. I'll be glad to. The mic is on, Mr. Garrison.
First time, huh?
Councilman Kendall, I'm going to come back to you, Councilman Coleman.
Yes, Vice Mayor. I've listened to Mr. Davis. I've listened to all of them. And I appreciate what you're saying, Mr. Davis. I certainly agree that we need more minorities on the police force. I think years ago, the percentage was higher than it is now, as I recall. But I don't support this particular resolution, basically because of things that Ms. Weiner said. I think as a process, I think we send a signal when we, in advance, tell a department, bring us something. We could say that to the Board of Education. I certainly would like to see the Board of Education bring us a budget that's going to increase salaries, because I think teachers deserve it. I think the people who work in the school system deserve it, but I don't think doing that by resolution or this by and Mr. Davis, I don't think it says that these 20 officers, this particular resolution does not address the issue that you raised, even though I think you can make some assumption that there would be some minorities hired. But I think the process, as Ms. Weiner described, is a process we should follow. And Mr. Coleman, I think it's a great idea that we're saying to the police that we support them. But there are other departments as well, like education. You know, so I don't know if this is the proper time to do it. I think the debate should be had when it comes to us with budget, and that's when we should have these discussions. Thank you.
Councilor Mina Johnson.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I wholeheartedly support what Councilmember Scott Davis said. We do need diversity. We do need to promote a female officer and somebody, you know, African American community, Latino community, to reflect what Nashville looks like. However, this resolution introduced by Councilmember Coleman does not address any diversity, none whatsoever. So with respect to budget and process, I agree with what Council Lady Weiner pointed out, and I do appreciate Councilman Coleman's intent. I wholeheartedly agree with his intent. However, I won't be able to support his resolution.
Councilman Coleman.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And I certainly appreciate the remarks of those who can't support the resolution. And I'll make this very quick because we're not supposed to go back and forth. But I think you are a little disingenuous when you stand here and pour out the millions of dollars in the Gulch, when you stand here and pour out millions of dollars to stormwater. We're talking about a different category here. We're talking about people who have to respond. Now, this is simply a statement. And we're not asking the police department to do these things. We're saying this is a reflection. And if the chief find out this is not something that they need to do, they can come and tell us. But whatever the case may be, I respect that. I appreciate your support if you can give it. If not, case made. And I'm not going to stand here and ask for a machine vote. I'm not trying to call anybody out. It's up to you. It's only a statement to show support. And these disingenuous comments you heard, we're going to take those up later when they support these other millions of dollars that they want to give out. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, if you'll open the machine. If somebody could check on, is it working now? All right, thank you. I think that's everybody, is it, Madam Clerk? Madam Clerk, if you'll close the machine and tally the vote.
I have 22 for, 9 against, 3 abstentions.
Motion carries. That brings us to bills on introduction and first reading. Without objection, we'll take all of those matters together. Seeing no objection, is there a motion? Motion to approve the bills on introduction and first reading is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Councilor Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I wanted to move for suspension of the rules, and I'll go ahead and share what the emergency is. Yes, and so the emergency is, it is an honorary naming of a structure, and we shared that the request that was brought by Mount Zion Church was they were trying to work out the specific date. And so if we don't get it on here, it won't quite make the ceremony that they're going to have. So that's why I'm requesting a suspension of the rules for the first reading.
Councilman Shulman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'm just letting you know that the council lady came before the Rules Committee, explained the emergency, and after review pursuant to the Rules Committee was fine with proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. That brings, I will then read the caption. This is a late ordinance. It names the bridge over I-40, I-65 between 11th Avenue North and 12th Avenue North along the 1100 block of Jefferson Street in honor of Bishop Joseph W. Walker III. Is there objection to suspension of the rules? Seeing none, Council Lady Gilmore.
Yes, I would just like to thank you and move for approval.
Motion to approve, properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to bills on second reading. Bill 2017-581, Councilman Shulman, Weiner, and Mina Johnson. Amends the Metro Code to grant full investigative authority to the Metro Auditor in order to allow for independent audits and reviews of all Metro government departments, boards, and commissions, as well as the performance of contracts by entities that contract with Metro. Councilman Shulman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilman Pridemore. 581.
Mr. Vice Mayor, that was already approved.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You're correct.
It's the Rules Committee.
Shulman. You're the only one. You're it then.
I was going to go to my vice chair, but I'll do it. The committee report, Rules Committee approved that one as amended, 6-4-0 against, and I would move for approval of this measure to get an amendment before the body.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. Floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. And now I'd like to move the amendment with a brief explanation.
There's a motion to amend. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Your Honor, your bill is amended.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. So the amendment actually makes the bill. We've been working on this for some time. This is the bill that basically gives the Metropolitan Auditor the power to investigate. When we looked at this before, we have the creation of the Metropolitan Auditor, but we had never put in investigative powers, the ability to audit. It went through a number of different changes. That's why it took so long to get this thing before us, but I think we've got the bill in proper form. It may not be the greatest bill in the world, but it gives the auditor the power to do what an auditor is supposed to, and that is to investigate.
Don't sell it short. Don't sell it short.
Well, I'm just saying that we kept working on it. We hope this does it, but overall, I think it's a good measure. And with that, Mr. Vice Mayor, I would move the bill as amended.
Motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Bill 2017-585, Council Lady Weiner, Rosenberg, and others. Amends the Metro Code regarding miscellaneous animal control regulations. Council Lady Weiner.
Committee reports, please.
Councilman Pulley.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Health, Hospitals, and Social Services Committee reviewed BL 2017-585, at which time the sponsor introduced a substitute which was recommended for approval, and the entire bill as substituted recommended for approval, 5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilman. Council Lady Weiner.
I would like to move the substitute
There's
with
a
a brief
motion.
explanation.
There's a motion to substitute. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? You're on your bill as substituted.
Thank you. I would like to now make a brief comment, if I might.
Floor is yours.
So I'm going to share a quick story that's pertinent to this conversation. It has to do with the storms last night. For those of you who don't know, I have nothing but rescues, so my love of dogs goes without saying. The two that I have, an Australian Shepherd, ended up during the storm on the couch between my legs, and actually his head was between my legs, shivering, ears back, crying, scared out of his mind. My Ridgeback, head was up in my neck, ears back, again, crying because of the storm. Dogs don't like storms. End of story. It's not a safe place for them to be. The original bill would have required that all dogs have shelter in inclement weather, and inclement weather was identified as 32 degrees or 95 degrees, thunderstorms or tornadoes. Well, once we learned that the fiscal note for that was somewhere in the neighborhood of $800,000, we knew that we needed to rethink it because that money's just not in the budget. So I basically had two choices. Choice number one was just to withdraw the bill and not protect anybody, or to protect the most vulnerable, and that would be the pregnant mothers, the nursing mothers, and her puppies. And what this does is it requires a shelter be in place so that these animals are not out in this inclement weather and in imminent danger. Again, guys, they have feelings. They are the least among us. They deserve to have the protections. And quite frankly, if we're able to facilitate the money in a future budget and are able to facilitate the enforcement and the management of this issue, I would be perfectly happy to push forward some sort of recommendation ordinance that would require that we protect all of them. But at this point, I think what we need to do is protect what we have, and under the circumstances that we have in terms of financial responsibility. And so I don't want to talk in circles about it. I would just appreciate your support.
Councilman Withers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Mayor. I want to thank the sponsor for giving such a detailed explanation of the bill and how it was generated and also amended. I have some constituents who are here in the audience today, and I know each of us on the council have many, many constituents who are animal lovers and who also participate in animal rescue. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who's so engaged in this subject. We as council members have the privilege of representing people who can speak for themselves and let us know how they want to be protected and supported. But we also have a lot of citizens who care about those who cannot speak for themselves. And I just want to say to those in the audience and the viewing audience at home that we on the council are listening to you, and we appreciate your passion for making Nashville a better place and your assistance in working with our metro departments to help look out after animal welfare. So again, just to the sponsor's point, we hear you, we appreciate your passion, and we will keep working with you to do what we can as our budgets allow. And I encourage each of you to remain engaged, particularly with the budget cycle that's coming up, to help to advocate for those health department and other department needs to make sure that we can support the efforts that you are devoting so much time to bringing light to. And with that, I lend my support to the bill as substituted and amended. Thank you.
This motion to approve as amended. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-586, Councillady Weiner, Withers, and Van Rees amends the Metro Code regarding animal control regulations beyond the Urban Services District. Councillady Weiner.
Committee reports, please.
Councilman Pulley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Health, Hospitals, and Social Services Committee recommended for approval as amended, 5 in favor, 0 against.
Councillady Weiner.
Thank you. What this bill does is it basically just levels the playing field within the Urban Services District and the General Services District. The amendment actually takes out the management of permits for livestock. So with that, I'd like to move the amendment.
There's a motion to amend. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Hold on. Do you want to be heard on the amendment, Councillady? I'm sorry. Okay, we're going to hold off voting on the amendment. Councilor Van Rees.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the privilege to be able to do this. I just wanted to clarify for those of us in District 8 and District 9 that have just entered the Urban Service District, that this does not pertain to any livestock that happens to already be in place. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry, Councilor. We're on the motion to amend. It's properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilor Weiner.
Bill is amended, please.
This motion to approve is amended. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-588, Councilman Elrod, Cooper, and others. Amends the Metro Code by amending the graduated stormwater user fee schedule. Councilman Elrod.
Committee reports, please.
Councilman Pridemore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance approved 10-4, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Elrod.
Public Works recommend for approval, 9 in favor, 0 against, and I move approval with an explanation.
Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Everyone knows this is the stormwater fee increase bill, and I want to appreciate all the work of the administration, Metro Water, and the 26 co-sponsors on this piece of legislation. This bill, I know there's some folks have a heartburn about raising revenue, but I think it's important that we have fee increases like this that go directly to certain purposes, and they are directly related to how those fees are collected. I know some people think that there are not differences between fees and taxes. This is a direct fee with a correlating way that it is collected, and it's correlated, to the way that it is used. This fee will increase the amount of funds that are generated by the current fee that was initially passed in 2009. That fee has, since 2009, has lost about 20 to 25% of its buying power. And currently, Nashville ranks 5th from the bottom in terms of its stormwater fee, even though we have the 4th largest system in the nation. I don't believe in just raising fees just because we're at the bottom, just because they're deemed to be low, but rather because we have such a great need, and I think all of our council members understand the need to increase revenue because of the stormwater needs and projects that need to be funded. These fee increase will generate another about $20 million annually, which will increase the amount of projects that are done annually. There's the Class C projects, increase street sweeping, increase the number of crews that daily go out and do stormwater projects, an additional 2 or 3 crews, and additionally also increase the bonding capacity another $100 million, which will allow those large stormwater projects that I think many of us have in our districts. We have small ones that the crews can do every day, those C projects, but then the large ones that need that have significant funding needs. That bonding capacity will be greatly increased with this fee increase. And the budget committee, there was discussion about where these projects are going to be located. I want to commit to this body as a Public Works Committee that if there needs to be a committee meeting or further discussion about how the criteria is put together as far as where those projects are going, to make sure that they spread out evenly where the need is across the county and across the city, I'll commit to having those hearings, and I know Mr. Potter committed in the budget committee meeting to also look at that. With that explanation, Mr. Vice Mayor, I move approval.
Thank you, Councilman Schulman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. This is just a question either for our council or for the Finance Department. And some of these questions I ask in the Public Works Committee. There are, well, maybe first I should say, who is actually impacted and who is not assessed the fee? So I'm going to ask a question about exemptions in a minute, but there are certain folks in this fee schedule that are basically exempt or aren't going to be impacted by the fee increase. And could somebody just explain for the viewing public exactly who is impacted and who's not?
Mr. Vice Mayor, would you like me to respond to that?
Obviously, Mr. Potter is in the back, but that would be, we would need to suspend the rules to do that. I guess I'm just checking it and see if the finance director can just read what's in our analysis so we can actually explain who gets impacted and who's not.
Okay, I don't have your analysis right in front of me, but there are a distinct group that is exempt and within the stormwater regulations, I think, and I don't know, or no one is really exempt. Anybody that has access to stormwater has to pay a fee, unless you're agriculture, is what legal is telling me, unless you're agriculture or farming.
Mr. Vice Mayor, may be appropriate. I know this is on second reading. Maybe I'll ask it on third so we can get the analysis in the record. I know there's certain folks that are not going to be paying an increase because the size of their property is.
Right, that is a different question. The question in terms of who has the greatest amount of impact, the low income, not low income, but residential properties that are small, of a certain lower than 2,000 square feet, those properties are being held harmless so that there will not be an increase for those homes.
Right,
Okay,
and I
and the
also
same
understand
is-
the same is applied
And
to
same is
commercial
true-
businesses
and
as well.
And the same is true for commercial businesses.
Okay. And then I will tell you that in the Public Works Committee, there are exemptions to some of this. I know that people somehow right on the county line may be exempt as well. My big question was the people who are not exempted are people who may live in far parts of the county or who have land that may not tie into our system, but if they have a house on their property, they are not exempt. They still have to pay. And I'm looking at the finance director, but
Yes,
it's my
that's correct.
understanding that's how this works.
Yes.
All right. So
That's
there's
my
no
understanding.
exemption for them.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Councilman Anthony Davis.
They were just putting that in front of, I'm sorry, they were putting that in front of me.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I think Councilman Elrod said it all very well. Just want to say I think we've been needing to do this for a long time, and I think it's a lot more equitable as far as the stormwater fee, and we are not incentivizing large impervious parking lots any longer, and it'll be a little more expensive to do large impervious lots. Thank you.
Councilman Leonardo.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I would just like to say that I've heard a lot from my constituents in the Jolton and Scottsboro and Bells Bend area that have concerns about this particular bill. Geographically, I have the largest council district in Davidson County, and it's been explained by Mr. Potter and Mr. Palco at certain meetings that the reason that maybe that they're not really seeing the impact is that when they're driving to work, if they're driving to work in Nashville, that they're getting the benefit of the stormwater projects. And furthermore, right now they're generating about $14 million a year in stormwater fees, and there's over $100 million in backlogged projects. And there is one in particular in the Bordeaux Hills community that's about $2.5 million, and it's folks that really need it bad, and it's long overdue, and this revenue will help out. So I'm going to be supporting this tonight based upon that. Thank you.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Bill 2017-590. Pulley, Cooper, and others authorizes the acquisition of property for the purpose of realigning the intersection of Hillsborough Road with Crestmore Road and Glen Echo Road. Councilman Pulley.
Your committee reports, please.
Councilman Pridemore.
Budget Finance approved, 10-4-0 against.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, and Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Elrod.
Public Works recommend for approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Pulley.
I would move approval.
Motion to approve is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-617, O'Connell, Cooper, and Allen authorizes the conveyance of Metro government's interest in the building and parcel of property located at 225 Polk Avenue and repealing BL 2016-258. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to request committee reports, please.
Councilman Pridemore.
I'm sorry, Bill.
617. 2007.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Budget Finance approved, 10-4-0 against.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, and Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval.
Motion to approve is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-618, Councilman Freeman, Elrod, and Allen abandons existing easement rights for property located at 314 Rose Street. Councilman Freeman.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zone, Historical, recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Elrod.
Public Works recommend for approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Freeman.
Thank you. I'll move for approval, please.
Motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-619, O'Connell, Elrod, and Allen abandons existing easement rights for property located at 1212 Hawkins Street. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to request committee reports, please.
Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical, recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Elrod.
Public Works recommend for approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval, please.
Motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-620, Council Lady Allen, Councilman Elrod abandons existing water and sanitary sewer mains and easements and accepts new water and sanitary sewer mains, manholes, a fire hydrant, and any associated easements for property located at 2014 Bernard Circle. Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilman Elrod.
Public Works recommend for approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, and Historical, recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against, and I move for approval.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-621, Allen, Hueso, and Elrod abandons existing water lines and easements and accepts new water lines, fire hydrants, and any associated easements for property located at 1 Terminal Drive. Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilman Elrod.
Public Works recommend for approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
They're trying to wake us up. Council Lady Allen.
I'm awake. Planning, Zoning, and Historical, recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against, and I move for approval.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-622, Councilman Pulley, Elrod, and Allen abandons an existing water main and easement and accepts a new water main, fire hydrant, and easement for properties located at 2126 Abbott Martin Road and 3811 and 3813 Hillsborough Pike. Councilman Pulley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee reports, please.
Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical, recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Elrod.
Public Works recommend for approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilman Pulley.
I would move approval.
It's motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-623, Rosenberg, Elrod, and Allen abandons an existing water line and accepts a new water line and sanitary sewer main with sanitary sewer manholes, fire hydrants, and any associated easements for property located at 0 River Road and 5820 River Road. Councilman Rosenberg. There you go, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee reports, please.
Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. At the request of the sponsor, Planning, Zoning, and Historical recommended a 1-meeting deferral, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilman Elrod.
Public Works recommend a 1-meeting deferral, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to defer 1 meeting, please.
Motion to defer 1 meeting. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-624, Sledge, Elrod, and Allen changes the name of a portion of Pillow Street to Marshall Hollow Drive. Councilman Sledge.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Elrod.
Public Works recommend for approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Potts.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Traffic and Parking voted to approve 4-0 against.
Councilman Sledge.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I move for approval with a brief explanation.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. I wanted to thank 2 folks who helped with this name change. This change is happening because it's actually the second sort of Pillow Street that would occur in Wedgwood, Houston, due to a new development. And so EMS asked that we create a new name for this portion. So with Wayne Russell, who has lived in Wedgwood, Houston for more than 60 years and talked about the Marshall family who had lived in the neighborhood since the 40s and built most of the homes on Pillow Street. And if you're familiar with the neighborhood, Pillow Street has a pretty steep drop, and so in that area, it came to be known as Marshall Hollow. And so when this street naming opportunity came up, Mr. Russell gave me that information, and thanks to Landmark Homes, who's doing the new development over there that's creating the new street, they agreed to the name change, and so we will have Marshall Hollow Drive. So with that, I'd ask for your approval.
Councilman Elrod.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I want to commend the sponsor that he was given the opportunity to name a street whatever he wanted, and he didn't name it after himself. So I want to applaud him for that.
Of course, you know the rules require you to be dead to have a
I'm
street.
very grateful I could not name that street after myself, Mr. Vice Mayor.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-625, O'Connell, Elrod, and Allen abandons a portion of alley number 421 right-of-way. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to request committee reports, please.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Elrod.
Public Works recommend for approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Potts.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Traffic and Parking voted to approve, 4, 0 against.
Thanks, Councilman. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval, please.
This motion to approve is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-626, Council Lady Allen amends the Metro Code regarding noncompliance with Title 16 and the penalties therefor. Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilman Coleman. I'm sorry, Councilman Swope.
Codes Fairs Farmers Market recommends approval on the amended bill, 3-4-0 against.
Thank you, Councilman. Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move the amendment with a very brief explanation.
All right. Does that require a suspension of the rules?
And that will require suspension rules, so I'd like to ask Mr. Schulman for a suspension of the rules without much hassling.
There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The Rules Committee debated this for a very, very long time. It's my understanding that a provision was left out in the drafting. We grilled Council Lady Allen for at least 30 seconds and realized that there was an emergency, and we decided to let her go ahead. So thank you.
Very generous of you. Council Lady Allen.
And I appreciate that.
So there's a request to suspend the rules. Is there objection? Seeing none, you're now free to amend your bill.
The amendment simply corrects a mistake in the original bill, which accidentally deleted a second paragraph, which we had not intended to delete. We were simply trying to make a change to paragraph A. So this leaves paragraph B of the ordinance intact, and so I'd move for approval of the amendment.
This motion to amend is duly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. You're on your bill as amended.
Thank you. I'd like to move the bill as amended, also with a brief explanation.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. This is just a housekeeping bill. When we moved the short-term rental bills into Section 17, we had several references to other sections. There was a reference in Section 16 to allowing stop work orders that currently still refers to the wrong section. This makes a correction to that, so it's essentially a housekeeping bill. So with that, I renew my motion for approval.
This is a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to bills on third reading. Bill 2016-483, Gilmore, Mendez, and others, amends the Metro Code to require the police department to provide traffic stop reports to the Metro Council. Councilman Coleman.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Browley. At the request of the sponsor, they asked this body to defer this one meeting. The sponsor and co-sponsor had to leave, and they would like to share the conversation with you. So based on that, they have asked that you defer one meeting.
Motion to defer one meeting. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2016-590, Council Lady Hueso. Changes 9.69 acres from R15 to SP zoning for property located at 1360 Pleasant Hill Road to prevent boat self-storage and self-service storage. Council Lady Hueso.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. With all committee reports in, I'd like to move for approval.
The motion to approve is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-555, Murphy and Council Lady Mina Johnson changes 31.89 acres from R10 to RS10 zoning for various properties located along Clearview Drive, Crescent Road, Estes Road, Westmont Avenue, and Woodmont Circle. Council Lady Murphy.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move, with the committee reports.
Committee report. Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended BL 2017-555 as substituted, 12 in favor, 0 against.
I would like to move the third substitute.
There's a motion to substitute. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. You're now on your bill as substituted.
I would like to move the substitute with a brief explanation.
Floor is yours.
This is a bill that we have worked very hard on. It was before the Planning Commission, and there was some misinformation, and so it originally was disapproved. Fortunately, we were able to send it back and get approval once we got information. And for those of y'all who care, I have got a book of correspondence with my constituents of thoughts and their opinions and how we got to this final map. So with that and with an approved bill, I would like to ask for your approval on this and support, and I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to thank the towns for staying so late tonight. Thank you for coming by. BL 2017-575, Councilman Bednay, changes 2.9 acres of a planned unit development overlay district for property located at 1031 Barnes Road and Barnes Road unnumbered to permit the addition of 2.9 acres. Councilman Bednay.
Do we have committee reports?
Council Lady Allen.
Yes, Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Bednay.
I think that's a great committee report. Thank you, Council Lady. I want to ask for your support on this legislation.
It's a motion to. I'll take that as a motion to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
There you go. Councilman Swope was generous to second. Floors. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-576, Councilman Bednay. Changes 2.9 acres from AR2A to RS10 zoning for property located at 1031 Barnes Avenue. Councilman Bednay.
I'd love to get a committee report, please, if there is one.
There is one.
You'll like this one. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Bednay.
You did better last time. And I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-577, Council Lady Haywood, changes 14.12 acres from R20 to MHP zoning for property located at 1343 Dickerson Pike. Council Lady Haywood.
I'd like to call for a committee report.
Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Council Lady Haywood.
I move for approval.
There's a motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
Properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-578, Councilman Swope, applies 3.11 acres to a historic landmark overlay district for property located at 10604 Concord Road. Councilman Swope.
Committee reports, please.
Council Lady Allen.
Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Swope.
And I'd like to move this forward with a brief explanation.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded.
Don't leave, Carrie.
The floor is yours.
I just wanted to thank the planning staff, specifically Carrie and Brandon Burnett in our office, for allowing this to happen. This is saving a 160-year-old church from disaster by putting a historic overlay on it. And the people at El Shaddai Christian Church very much appreciate it. Thank you, and with that, I move this forward.
Thank you, Councilman Bednay.
I want to thank Councilmember Swope for working with the El Shaddai people. They've been trying really hard for a long time to do this, and thank you for championing their. Thanks. And I raise and support. This is across the street from my district, so I just supported my body here.
Thank you, sir. There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Did you? Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to delay anything. I just had wanted to ask, I wanted to thank Councilmember Swope as well, because I grew up visiting this church in Nolensville, so it's an important parcel, and I'm really appreciative of what you're doing. So thanks, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I don't know how your mic got turned on, Councilman Sledge. I did not do that, I do not believe. Bill 2017-594. I did actually do it, Councilman Sledge. I was getting ready for the next bill. Now I remember. Changes 0.7 acres from IWD to SP zoning for properties located at 921, 923, and 925 Bass Street to permit a self-service storage facility. Councilman Sledge.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. At the request of the sponsor, Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended two-meeting deferral, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Sledge.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd ask for a two-meeting deferral, please.
Motion to defer 2 meetings is properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill 2017-595, Councilman Hastings. Changes 0.42 acres from RS 7.5 to R8A zoning for property located at 2336 Old Matthews Road. Councilman Hastings.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to move for committee report, please.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Mr. President, would
Councilman
like
Hastings.
to move for an approval.
Motion to approve is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Bill 2017-596, Councilor Van Rees. Changes 3.21 acres from RS to SP zoning for properties located at 3043 and 3045 Hillside Road to permit up to 29 residential units. Councilor Van Rees.
Committee reports, please.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilor Van Rees.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Bill 2017-597, Councilman Bednang. Changes 3.56 acres from AR2A to RS20 zoning for properties located at 1245 Barnes Road. Councilman Bednang.
Committee reports,
Councilor
please.
Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Bednang.
I'd like to move for approval.
This motion to approve is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Bill 2017-598, Councilman Kendall and O'Connell. Changes 25.86 acres from MUGA to MUIA for property located at 300 Patterson Street. Councilman Kendall.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report, please.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Kendall.
Move for approval.
Motion to approve is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Bill 2017-599, Councilman O'Connell. Changes 0.59 acres from R6 to SB zoning for properties located at 1719, 1721, and 1723 6th Avenue North to permit up to 11 residential units. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to request committee reports, please.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 11 in favor and 1 not voting.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval, please.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. Councilor Murphy would like to be recorded as abstaining. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Bill 2017-600, Councilor Roberts amends 1.13 acres of the Osceola Place Specific Plan District for properties located at 107, 109, and 111C Osceola Avenue and add parcels 1, 2, and 900, and to permit up to 9 residential units. Councilor Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor, floor is yours.
I'd like to move for approval, please.
Motion to approve is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Bill 2017-601, Councilor Roberts amends 1.12 acres of the Osceola Park Specific Plan District for properties located at 108 and 110 Osceola Avenue and adds parcels 132, 133, and 134 to permit up to 13 residential units. Councilor Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilor. Floor is
I'd
yours.
like to move for approval, please.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-602, Councilman Scott Davis. Changes .87 acres from IG to MUIA zoning for property located at 100 Spring Street. Councilman Davis.
Committee reports, please.
Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move for approval, please.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-603, Councilman Coleman. Changes 14.35 acres from AR2A, IWD, and OR20 to IR zoning for property located at 12575 Old Hickory Boulevard. Councilman Coleman.
Thanks, Vice Mayor Brawley. Committee report.
Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilman Coleman.
I'd like to defer this until, I'd like to defer 2 meetings.
There's a motion to defer 2 meetings. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-604, Council Lady Van Reese. Changes .58 acres from RS10 to SP zoning for property located at 710 Due West Avenue North to permit 10 residential units. Council Lady Van Reese.
Committee reports.
Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Council Lady Van Reese.
Move approval, please.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-607, Councilman O'Connell and Councilman Sledge. Changes 87.16 acres from R6 to R6A zoning for property located on 12th Avenue South, 13th Avenue South, 13th Avenue Circle, 14th Avenue South, 15th Avenue South, Edge Hill Avenue, Grand Avenue, Hawkins Street, Horton Avenue, Marshall Court, Music Circle East, Sigler Street, Southside Circle, Tremont Street, and Villa Place. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to request committee reports, please.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning, Zoning, Historical recommended approval, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval of the brief comment.
Motion to approve, properly seconded. Floor is yours.
Thank you. I wanted to extend a special thanks to Councilman Sledge on this one. We do share the Edge Hill neighborhood. As you can see, this spans a number of blocks, but this is a relatively new zoning tool that after much discussion with the Edge Hill community, members of the neighborhood in both of our districts, and of course Brandon in the Metro Council office, who made himself available for a number of community meetings and follow-up discussions. This bill, we hope, will serve the community well as it seeks to retain its walkability and character. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-612, Council Lady Mina Johnson, Van Reese, Henderson, and Allen amends the Metro Code pertaining to the submission and formatting of agendas and minutes by boards and commissions of the Metro government.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All committees in. I would like to move to approve, please.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-613, Council Lady Allen, Councilman Elrod abandons and accepts water and sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and any associated easements for properties located at 519 and 521 Chesterfield Avenue. Council Lady Allen.
Move for approval.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-614, Councilman Hastings, Elrod, and Allen abandons an existing water main and a fire hydrant and easement and accepts new fire hydrants for 6 properties located along 9th Avenue North. Councilman Hastings.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'd like to call for committee reports.
All committees are in.
With all committees in, we'd like to move for approval.
There's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. BL 2017-615, Councilman O'Connell, Elrod, and Allen abandons an existing sanitary sewer main and manhole unit and accepts a new sanitary sewer main and manholes for property located at 1209 Hawkins Street. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval, please.
Motion to approve is properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Substitute Bill BL 2017-616, Councilman Kendall, O'Connell, and others, changes the name of a portion of 16th Avenue North to Barbecue Alley. Councilman Kendall.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. This is the last bill, but probably the most important one we'll vote on tonight. I want to thank Councilman O'Connell. This is actually in his district, but he doesn't particularly like barbecue, so he. But this is a just a short portion of 16th Avenue North. It doesn't affect any addresses or businesses or anything of that nature. And I think you're going to find some good barbecue in that area if you go down there. Thank you. I'd like to move approval of the substitute move approval of the substitute. Did we already do that?
There's a motion to approve. It's been properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, now I'd like to move the bill as substituted.
We already had done that.
Okay.
We're good. We're good. We are now ready for a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.